there, thanks for tuning into Duckbricks. I'm Chris, and this is the Roos and Arin Superstorm Jet, featuring the villain Lord Roos teaming up with the ninja Arin as they actually venture through the merged realms. This is a really cool set, and a very cool concept to have a former hero team up with a villain, and let's dive into this review as we continue my reviews of all of the 2025 LEGO Ninjago sets. Let's go. Okay, so this is Roos and Arin's Superstorm Jet. It will retail for $50 when it releases on January 1st and comes with the Ninja Arin, Lord Roos, and a Dragonian Warrior, plus a little Dragonian Dragon. This is a really unique Ninjago set for a number of reasons. First of all, it's pretty rare we get a jet nowadays in Ninjago. We've gotten a few over the years, and while this does have some shades of Jay's lightning jet from the Golden Weapons, as well as the legacy version of that vehicle, it really does try to be its own thing, and has a completely unique shape, something that I feel to be really interesting. The other unique thing about it is that this is our first combo vehicle between a hero/anti-hero and a villain. Of course, we've gotten combo vehicles in the past. Arin himself has had combo mechs with Sora as well as with Lloyd, but this is the first time we're getting a hero and a villain combined into one vehicle, because of course, Arin has now joined Lord Roos. Let's take a look at how this set looks, how it plays, and most importantly, does it swoosh well right now? So we're going to start off with the main jet here because I feel like that's what most people want to see. Immediately speaking, this has a really dynamic shape to it. It almost looks like an X-Wing in the way that it functions. It has like two flick-fire spring missiles at the front here, which are totally gone already by just firing off into the ether. And there's actually a detachable component as well. There's some sort of a robotic dragon-like build on the top for Roos, which does separate out. It is super easy to do that, just kind of move it on the back there, and it's attached via a clip. To be honest, I feel like this is kind of the weakest part of the model. We can take a look at it by itself really quickly first, but it's just a little tiny dragon for Lord Roos. It is honestly very, very lackluster in the way the wings are done. Like, they don't even flap. It kind of just acts as a glider. And thankfully, Roos does have a seat on the inside of the jet, so he doesn't have to be on the outside right here. I don't really know what the story is behind this. Like, clearly it is supposed to be a mechanical creature. It's not like a living dragon. It is something that is fully mechanical, but there isn't really much going on with it. It's just a tiny little side build, and honestly, this is really the only Lord Roos representation in the set, whereas the rest of the set is basically utilizing Arin's color scheme of dark blue and flame yellowish orange, for better or for worse. When I was hearing a combo vehicle, I was thinking that their color schemes would be a lot more integrated, and I guess you could make the argument that the black in the color scheme here is meant to represent Roos, but I think even just having like some purple highlights, like you have them at the top here, rather than just having it on the back of the model that separates off, would have gone a long way. Even like a black and a red color scheme integration as well. But the jet by itself does look really cool. Now, the other thing that surprised me about this set was that when images first came out about it, I kind of just assumed that this was going to have some sort of a transformation or some sort of like a moving feature, just because of the crazy weird angles of the wings. But that actually isn't the case. There is no transformation feature for this jet. Basically, the wings are fixed at these angles. The only thing that I guess you can wiggle around, like, is that these you can angle up and down, but I don't even think that was intentional because they specifically have a fixed point where they're supposed to land, and it doesn't really even look that good when you have them raised any higher. Like, I think this objectively looks the best. I was thinking maybe, like, you could push this up and have these wings fold in, and then push it back and have them fold out, but instead they decided to prioritize aesthetics over function here, which is not something I'm necessarily complaining about, just something I was a little surprised by. The thing that I really love about this jet is just how sleek it is. You can see that as you see the details of the vehicle, you have these glowing blue intakes here for the engine, you have these very spiky details, and you have these very easy to fire missiles. Oh my goodness, that is almost a little too easy to fire when you're swishing it around, but the cool thing is that you even have a detachable flyer. You can actually separate this entire front portion right here, and it acts chunk as its own flyer, so you can basically use this as a little getaway jet of its own. Whether or not this will appear in the show is yet to be seen, but I do think it's really cool and definitely harkens back to a more classic style of LEGO play, where this was pretty much a custom For all LEGO spaceships, you would be accustomed to seeing this, and it is really cool to see its own separatable vehicle as part of the jet. Reattaching this though, of course we can see what the main jet looks like, and it's just a little extra bonus feature. It doesn't really transform it that much. I really do love the way the wings are mounted, because not only are these back ones mounted at an angle, but it almost looks like an X-Wing style of vehicle where these are mounted angled backwards, these are angled forwards, and there's a lot of really clever building techniques to pull this off. It just looks really good on display, and I'm really happy with how this is flying through the air, especially because of how swooshable it is. Of course, there's cockpit space for both Lord Roos and Arin. Opening up the front cockpit here showcases a technical readout of the set itself, kind of on that dial, and on the inside of the back cockpit, you just have a simple targeting reticule right there, because of course Lord Roos would be manning the weapons. With these reattached, you can see it's utilizing the newer style of transparent black that they introduced just last year. This is the full-on Arin jet. Now let's go ahead and reattach the Roos Dragon on it to take a look at the full set as a whole. And again, if you want to take a closer look at the minifigures, I'll be putting out a completely separate video on those, so we don't waste time repeating them in all of these reviews, which I'm already also covering as part of a mega review. So here is the full-on set by itself. It is very clearly an Arin vehicle first and foremost, and then Lord Roos just kind of sits on the back. I have to wonder that maybe during story development, did the LEGO designers initially make this as just an Arin vehicle, and then they realized that he was going to be teaming up with Lord Roos, so they made it into a team-up vehicle, but because it was too late in development, the Lord Roos component is just this tiny little dragon on the top? I don't really know, and I can always just speculate on what went on here, but honestly, I don't even mind it that much. Yes, it's a team-up vehicle, but it does look really cool. It definitely looks a little bit edgier and darker than Arin's other vehicles, given that he's now working with a villain, and overall, it just flies really well, and that is the most important thing when you have a jet like this. The silhouette of the jet is also incredibly unique and interesting. It's very different compared to other Ninjago vehicles and Ninjago jets. Well, yes, it does have the blades on the side. It feels like a lot more is going on in terms of the angles that make up this vehicle, which makes this one of my favorites on this year's list. Now, the last thing I would need to talk about here is that yes, this set retails for $50 US, and honestly, I can see it. It's not that bad. I think 40 would have been really good, and maybe even just another minifigure would have made it feel a little bit more worth it. But as it is a really fun set to play with. It's definitely one of my favorites in the wave alongside the big Ultra Combo Mech, so it's very hard to complain about a build this good with a color scheme this solid. Who knew dark blue and flame yellowish orange and black actually worked together so well, but they were able to really pull it off with a set like this. And finally, before we wrap up the review here, I do want to share my quick thoughts on the minifigures. For a $50 set, I personally would have hoped to see at least a few more minifigures, even if it meant just including a few more random minion villains, but we do pretty much get the essential team in the set: Arin, Roos, as well as a Dragonian warrior. Starting off with Arin, he has a brand new look with a dual molded hood, the same ones that the rest of the ninja use in gold and flame yellowish orange. I personally would have preferred if they did a recolor of his original hood that we actually may or may not have seen early in some of the other set images that have been revealed, so the black and gold horned hood is coming, but this is okay. I think the gold is just a little bit too bright for Arin. I almost kind of wish it was black instead of gold, because I feel like that would have tied in a lot better with the way they're taking the character and the color scheme here, where he has one black arm and he has kind of like a tattered black cloth, but the rest of the outfit is really cool. I like the actual Storm Dragon decal on the front of the torso there in the magenta, hinting at his allegiance with Lord Roos, and obviously that it's just a really cool kind of sweatshirt hoodie type of design. And then on the bottom legs, you have a really nice print for different straps, as well as the Arin symbol hanging from the black belt. He also does come with an accessory. It is a transparent yellow crystal. The other sets that include Arin do also come with this, and I'm really curious to see what they actually intend by including this accessory. Maybe this is some sort of a light that he's going to pick up, like they used in Lord of the Rings sets, where they had just an upside-down crystal showcasing a vial of light. We'll have to see where that plays into the show, but I think it is a cool accessory to get, even though it's not necessarily the most exciting. Altogether, it's a cool minifigure for Arin, a new expression that maybe is a little bit more serious or angry angry would have been really cool to get, but I understand that given the restrictions on budget for the types of minifigures to make, this is pretty cool. Lord Roos, on the other hand, is unchanged from last year's appearance. However, he does not have the armor piece that he did contain in the original set. This is probably so he fits easily in the jet, but honestly, I feel like it would have been really cool if he did include an armor piece, at least something that you could have on the side, because without the armor, he kinda almost just feels incomplete. Still, I think it would have been so perfect if they could have taken this chance to give us this exact same version of Roos, except with pink coloration instead of red. The minifigure was right there, but I guess that technically would have counted as a new print, so they just didn't have it quite in the budget. But given that Roos spends most of Season 2 Part 2 of Dragon's Rising at least without the red stripes instead of having his normal pink stripes, I think that would have been really nice in just a different variation of the figure. Still, it is cool to get his brick-built hammer, which is very show accurate, as well as one of the prismatic blades, the new collectible for the season, the transparent opalescent satin clear blade, and then we can move on to the final minifigure, which is the Dragonian. Again, I'm going to share a lot more in-depth thoughts on these on my video showcasing all the minifigures, but I gotta say, I love the design here. 4 brand new molds for a brand new villain is really special. We do not see that very often, and getting all sorts of intricate molded design as well as 2 different facial expressions, one showing a standard mouth and eyes and another just showing a ball of flame almost as if it's shooting out of the dragon mouth, is very cool, and I can't wait to see if LEGO will continue to give us different variations of this in the future. That's all for this video, and thank you so much for tuning in. Stay tuned because I will be going in-depth into all of the sets and all of the minifigures, which is why we didn't spend a ton of time on the minifigures in this video, for future YouTube videos coming out very soon as part of my coverage of the brand new LEGO Ninjago January wave. That's all for now, thanks for watching, and I'll see you again very soon.